All right, good evening and good morning to some of you guys. This is your boy, DJ Just Jay with Just Dimes ENT, host of the Soto podcast, the AFC, We Advocates for Children First. I want to talk about this little girl. She's a beautiful little girl, and I'm going to let you guys know this is a positive story with a little bit of criticism in there because this little girl survived. She lived, all because of her father's quick actions. So in all actuality, this is actually a positive story, but I want to share the story with you guys because I think it got a little bit of unjust praise. I don't even know if that's a phrase, but I'm gonna say it. I feel like it got a bit too much praise, and I feel like there should have been a little more criticism because of how we got in this situation and some other details, okay? So we're going to talk about this young man on the screen. He is from Illinois. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's from Chicago, but I could be wrong. But he is a father, and he received a surprise last week when a group of nurses came to his rescue twice, okay? Now, his name, let me get him back on the screen so you guys can see exactly who I'm talking about. This gentleman right here on my screen, his name is Darius Hinkle, D-A-R-I-U-S, Hinkle, H-I-N-K-L-E. Darius Hinkle was arrested at Touchette, or either T-U-T-O-U-C-H-E-T-T-E. It's either Touchette or Touchette Regional Hospital in Centreville, Illinois, after rushing his one-year-old daughter, beautiful little girl right here on the screen by the name of Demani, D-E-M-A-N-I. Beautiful little one-year-old girl, and had to rush her to the hospital after she was choking on a penny. That is a parent's worst nightmare, right? Especially when you have little kids, they put things in their mouth. You guys know that when you buy toys for kids, they have a bunch of choking hazard symbols and things like that, warnings and stuff, to basically let parents know not only to be careful. Yes, Chevelle, we're getting ready to get into that here in just a moment. Yes. But, you know, you definitely want to be careful having small things around kids. It is inevitable. They're going to test things. They're going to put things in their mouth. And I'm going to tell you guys, I vividly remember what it was like to be a kid, and I put money in my mouth. I ain't gonna lie. Like, it's something about the way that that coins taste in your mouth. I don't know if you guys ever did anything like that. Maybe y'all are not weird like me, but I know I put coins in my mouth as a kid. Okay. I don't even know how I remember that far back, but nonetheless, children do things like that. They put things in their mouth, and you just hope that the worst does not happen. Okay. Now, the father, again, his name is Darius Hinkle, who said he doesn't have a valid driver's license. Problem number one, he doesn't have a valid driver's license, but because he was having an emergency, and you guys know that sometimes calling for emergency services, they can't get there quick enough to save your choking child. So he hopped in the car and he rushed over. I don't know if the mother was in the car or not. I think she might have been, but nonetheless, he got in the car and he ended up driving this car extremely fast. So much so that he reached in excess of 100 miles an hour. You guys catch that? 100 miles an hour. I'm gonna tell you guys, some of you guys know that I race motorcycles, and, well, you know, not professionally, but on the track, actually in a semi-controlled environment. It's really only so much you can do to be careful, but I can tell you guys, I know very well what it's like to go over 100 miles an hour, and I'm gonna tell you guys, to be driving at those speeds on the streets is like, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like you could hurt yourself. You could kill yourself. You could kill yourself at 35, 40 miles an hour, let alone 60, 70, 80, 90, more than 100. Not only can you kill yourself, not only can you kill your kid, you could also kill someone else in another car. If you hit them, you put other people's lives in danger. Thank you, CJ Gunn. That's what I'm trying to say without giving you guys too many words. That could not only have caused your daughter to end up further worse than what she was, but you could also put a bunch of other people's lives in danger. But as a parent making a snap judgment, I can understand the fear and what he was going through and just said, screw it, I got to get my kid there. No real issues with risking it all for your daughter, if that makes sense. Okay? Now, the first thing on my mind was to get her to the hospital. That's what the father said. According to him, multiple police officers from different departments chased him to the hospital. Now, they didn't know where they were chasing him to. So I want you guys to understand, and let me preface this. They heard and found that there was a car driving in extreme speeds and they needed to try to catch this person. So they ended up trying to collaborate and end up trying to make this car come to a halt somewhere. But multiple departments chased him and eventually led to the hospital. Now, he didn't pull over until they reached the facility where his daughter could receive treatment, which is also very, very understandable. Okay? Now, according to him, he said, that's my daughter. I don't want nothing to happen to her. Of course, he means I don't want anything to happen to her, but that's what he said. Now, the mother, which let me see if I could show you guys a photo of the mom, because I was able to find maybe 1 or 2 photos of her so you guys can kind of know who we're talking about. This is the mom. Her name is Donecia Pittman, Donecia Pittman. She's Damani's mother and says that the cops who followed him to the hospital instructed them to exit the vehicle and put their hands up. And keep in mind, this is once they got to the hospital. They didn't know what was going on or anything like that. All they knew is that they tried to get this car to come to a halt. They got it to a halt and they're like, okay, now let's take this situation down. Okay. Now, I got out and put my hands up and yelled. I told the police my baby is choking. And I told them multiple times that she was choking, and they were just worried about the fact that we were speeding. Okay, that's coming from the mother. Now, baby Damani, again, she's 1 year old, received treatment at the hospital, at the regional hospital, while the father was arrested and taken to jail. Okay. Now, Pittman said that she later went to jail to bond him out, but met a nurse who said that she was there to do the exact same thing. Okay. So some of the nurses from the hospital came there to try to bail him out. I was looking like I didn't know who it was. And when I looked out the door to see who it was, she spoke and she said, I'm the nurse from Touche Hospital or Touche. I don't know how to pronounce that. Somebody will have to let me know how to pronounce that. Touchette. It's either Touchette or Touche Hospital. Now, the couple said that they couldn't thank the nurses enough for helping get Hinkle out of jail and also for their efforts to treat their daughter. So from what we understand, the little girl is okay. That's the big portion. The little girl is okay. So his efforts did not go in vain, which is an awesome thing. So Darius, if you're listening to this, I want to commend you for doing what it takes to save your daughter. Because I got to tell you guys, this is also why I always tell you guys it's important to have a father in these children's lives, because fathers will put their own lives in jeopardy and at risk in order to save their children. It's a good thing when it happens, you know, when fathers are there to protect their children. That's why we always advocate for nuclear families. He also said that there were let me see, they was there for us. Oh, that's why I could not read that. They wrote that wrong. They was there for us since we had got there, Pittman said. They was there for us, but it's okay. It's a little bit of improper English, but it's all good. We get the point. Let's go ahead and give you guys the fair usage, and I'm going to show you guys the news videos, and I'm going to tell you guys from these news videos, this is what threw me off about this story. So yes, this is partially an uplifting story. The little girl is alive. That's good, but the reason that you guys are here is because you guys know that there is a twist to what I'm going to tell you guys. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
A group of nurses bonded a father out of jail after he was arrested while rushing his daughter to the emergency room. Darius Hinkle admitted he does not have a valid driver's license and that he was speeding. When he got to the hospital in Centerville, there were more than a handful of police officers from different agencies behind him. He told them his one-year-old daughter was choking on a penny. He was taken into custody after their daughter was treated and released. The family then went to bond him out of jail. The baby's mother says she was greeted by a woman she didn't recognize. They told her she was doing the same.
I can't thank them enough.
I couldn't thank them enough. Like, they was there for us ever since we had got there. Like, they was helpful.
I think that's why I got threw off trying to read her quote, because she said it like that. They was there for us ever since we got there. Like, my mom was such a stickler for English. And that's why a lot of times whenever you speak improperly, she'd stop you dead in your tracks and be like, that's not how you say that. But again, guys, I do have my commentary, but I'm going to give it to you guys after I let you watch this next video. Then I'm going to tell you guys, yes, there is a twist to what I'm going to say. This is not all peaches and cream. So if you guys are ready to hear that, hit that thumbs up, share the stream. I'm going to play this video, and then I'm going to give you my commentary.
Act of kindness that has a Metro father still smiling tonight.
A group of local nurses paid the bond to get him out of jail after he was arrested while rushing his daughter to the hospital. Fox News' Molly Rose joins us from Centerville with this exclusive report. Molly.
Well, Darius Hinkle does admit he doesn't have a valid license, and he tells us he was flying down the street. But he says he did it because his one-year-old daughter was choking on a penny. He tells us by the time he arrived here to the hospital, he had more than a handful of police officers behind him with their sirens on. Tonight, one-year-old Damani is all smiles, but earlier today, her parents say she was having the scariest moment of her life when she was choking on a penny.
The first thing in my mind was get her to the hospital.
And that's what Darius Hinkle did. He says officers later told him he was going over 100 miles per hour.
That's my daughter. I wouldn't want nothing to happen to her.
The dad says there were lights and sirens behind him for miles until he finally arrived at the hospital with his daughter and her mother.
They told us to get out, put our hands up, and I got out, I put my hands up, and I yelled, and I told the police, my baby is choking. And I told them multiple times that she was choking. They was just worried about the fact that we were speeding.
Hinkle says multiple police agencies were on scene and says he was arrested and taken to jail. Dontia Pittman says she had just arrived to the jail to try to bond him out when
somebody was up there and they said, I'm here to bond out Darius Hinkle. And I was looking like I didn't know who it was. And when I looked out the door to see who it was, she spoke and she said, I'm the nurse from Touche Hospital.
The couple says they are so
Touche Hospital. Okay, so I did say it right the first time.
Grateful to these nurses for their kindness.
I can't thank them enough.
And for saving their daughter.
I couldn't thank them enough. Like, they was there for us ever since we had got there. Like, they was helpful.
We did reach out to the hospital tonight, and they confirmed those nurses did chip in to pay for that bond. And tonight, that couple is just so happy their daughter is okay. Reporting live in Centerville, Molly Rose, Fox 2 News.
All right. Now, we could end this story and say, you know what? It's good the little girl is alive, and we can just be over and done with and be like, good job, Dad. Good job, hospital. Everybody walks away. It's all good, right? But is that what you guys came here for? No. I could imagine you guys probably came to hear what was Just Jay's take on this, because some of you guys know that this incident actually happened a couple of months ago. So for some of you guys, y'all might be hearing this for the first time, but my commentary on this is probably going to be something that not a lot of people have said. And the video that you guys just watched is where I got most of my thoughts from to literally try to put this together as a standalone commentary. All right. So if you guys, again, are ready, please click the thumbs up, share the stream. We're doing pretty good right now with it being almost 2 a.m. Central Time. Now, I'm going to play this again, and I'm going to give you guys my commentary. So don't get mad. Don't flaggy the video. I'm just saying. Y'all know what I do. Let's get it in.
Act of kindness that has a Metro father still smiling tonight.
A group of local nurses paid the bond to get him out of jail after he was arrested while rushing his daughter to the hospital.
And I want you guys to think about this. We always are talking about how, you know, these supremacists out here are holding us back and trying to hurt us and take things away from us, and these bad police and blah, 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 right? But I want you guys to notice that most of the people in the photo, let me show you guys the photo of those nurses. I don't know if you guys took a close look at that, but we're going to take a look at it. Let's take a look at these nurses. You guys notice something? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, count them, 6 white nurses, primarily white folks. I never understand why people say that these people are such bad folks when every time you turn around, when we are in need, we always are getting help from these same people that we keep wishing bad things on them. Let's play the video.
Fox News' Molly Rose joins us from Centerville with this exclusive report. Molly.
Well, Darius Hinkle does admit he doesn't have a valid license, and he
let's back that up. Let's play it again.
Hinkle does admit he doesn't have a valid license. Well, Darius Hinkle does admit he doesn't have a valid license.
Does anybody see a problem with this? Let's play it again.
Well, Darius Hinkle does admit he doesn't have a valid license. And
that's one major problem that we're going to talk about. There's a lot more that we're going to talk about, but I want you guys to think about this. This guy looks like he's in his 20s. I don't know how old he is, but I'm just taking a guess, even though he looked like he close at about my age, but I realistically think that he's probably in his 20s. And I want to know something. Don't you guys find it a little bit odd, the fact that he should be at like career working age at this point? Like he should be into a career or a job at this point with as old as he is, and he has no driver's license, meaning how is he going to be able to commute himself to and from work if he's even working? But why should he be working? Because he's a father. When you are a parent, when you procreate, you should be generating income. Am I right or am I wrong? You got to get to places. You got to get to the store. You got to go to doctor's appointments. You got to go here. You got to go there. You got to go to job interviews. Whatever it is that you are doing, even just for identification purposes, you should have a license. You are a grown ass man. Why do you not have a license? Am I wrong? Okay, maybe somebody out there can tell me. Why would a person at this age and being a father not have a license? Is there a good reason why you don't have one? What would be some good reasons not to have a license? Because I know there are reasons that it can get taken. I get that. But that also is not a good thing if your license got taken. Whether it were for speeding tickets, whether it were for reckless driving, whether it be for whatever freaking reason it is, that would also be an indication that the person's not doing something right or according to the law, which would also point to negative behavior being a parent. Let's keep going.
License, and he tells us he was flying down the street, but he said
another thing, they have this thing called reckless endangerment. Whenever you are in excess of 25 miles an hour, or in some states it's 20 miles an hour, over the posted speed limit. So I want you guys to think about this. I don't know if he was on the streets. I don't know if he was on the highways, but I think that you could reasonably do better than maybe 10 to 20 miles an hour. Between 10 to 20, I don't know. Maybe I'm just nitpicking, right? But again, let's address that again. If we're talking about license suspension, back child support, tickets, drinking and driving, any of those reasons, what I'm telling you guys is that points to the person doing something that they should not be doing. meaning they're not being a law-abiding citizen, meaning that they're not being a good parent if they're doing things that are going to cause them to get in trouble. You guys catch what I'm saying? Now, again, back to this thing. If the speed limit is 60 miles an hour, I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't be so bad if you were doing maybe 70 in a 60. If the speed limit's 70, maybe doing 80 in a 60. Speed limit's 45, maybe doing 55 or 60. I don't know. But doing over 100, I would have to imagine that he might have been on the highway. I want you guys to think about that. Where else could he have been? He couldn't have been just driving down regular streets. So let's talk about this logic here a little bit. Where was he driving? Because it's important. The road the hospital is on has a 40-mile-an-hour limit. So I want you guys to think about that. When it comes to these roads and making turns and stuff like that, in order for you to get a car, and we ain't talking about, we ain't talking about like a Mustang. We ain't talking about like some type of demon car or nothing like that. This is probably just your standard car, right? That they were driving. Say some specialty race car. In order for you to get that car over 100 miles an hour, you have to floor it, and it takes you time to get it up to 100 miles an hour. This ain't no 0 to 60 car in 0.3 seconds. See what I'm saying? So knowing that, that means it takes you time to get up to 100 miles an hour. So if it takes you time to get up to 100 miles an hour, one would have to think either he was not on regular streets, and if he was on the highway, then that means the highway speeds would have had to been about 60 to 70 miles an hour. And I still think that you can go relatively quick to get to the hospital if you're on the highway without blowing past 100 miles an hour. I'm just throwing that out there because it don't do you no good to get your daughter there if y'all both end up dead in a crash. You guys catch what I'm saying? Or am I nitpicking? You got to tell me. The people that are listening right now have to tell me, am I tripping? Am I nitpicking? Or am I onto something? It does Darius no good to do 100+ miles an hour getting to the hospital if y'all end up killing both of yourselves to get there. Somebody said Bond is a residential street. Jesus Christ. Woo. So I want you guys, how far was the hospital? Well, I want you guys to think about this. Let's think about this because you can hear the details of this story and you can make your own determination as to how far he was from the hospital. First and foremost, they said that it took multiple police agencies in order to follow him for miles. They said for miles. So that means he was driving at this speed for bunches of miles. Okay? So if he was driving down residential streets at 100 miles an hour, think about this. That means he's blowing through stoplights. Who could he have hit at a stoplight? He could have hit people walking across the street. He could have hit other children that were with their parents. He could have hit other cars that were parked on the side of the street. He could have ran into any other cars that had other people's children in it. It could have had anybody in there. And on top of that, if he hits anybody at 100 miles an hour, sorry guys, everybody's dead. People could end up dead at much slower speeds. If he hits anybody at 100 miles an hour, everybody's dead that gets hit. Okay, let's move on.
Says he did it because his 1-year-old daughter was choking on a
Somebody said that they were going 120 in a rural area and it's not that big of a deal. I'm telling you, for the reasons that I just said, I'm not even sure where you came from, but I don't mind you being here. And people, do not block or time out anybody. If I see anybody block or time out anybody, I'm going to have an issue with my moderators. This is a show where I want you guys to be able to come in and voice your opinion, okay? Just because I catch somebody's comment don't mean that I want it blocked, okay? Now, I'm going to address you specifically, whatever your name is, Ian, Sane, the Great, whatever. But it absolutely does matter. Because if you're trying to save your daughter, if you put your daughter in further danger, how does that help her? You're not going to save her life. You're going to end up taking her life. You see what I'm saying? You could take her life, you could take your own life, and then you could take other people's lives. Lots of other people's lives at 100 miles an hour. And on top of that, I want you guys to think, if there were multiple police chasing them, then that means every single cop that was chasing them could have also hit someone else. I want you guys to think, these police cars, just because they got lights and sirens on them, don't mean that they're invincible. It ain't like they eat one of those Super Mario stars and all of a sudden these motherfuckers is invincible driving down the street. It's not like they have one of those stars and all of a sudden they can just drive as fast as they want to and ain't nobody gonna hit them because everybody sees them and anything that touches them just gonna fly off the screen. It don't work like that. Well, but see, this is the thing. When you're driving at those kind of speeds, not only even on the highway, I'm gonna tell you something, Insane. I don't know if you've ever been to a place called Houston, Texas, but I'm gonna tell you guys. Yeah, Super Mario stars. Thank you. I'm going to tell you guys something. Like the fastest I've ever seen people drive like on highways is probably in Houston. And I'm going to tell you guys, that is stupid dangerous. I've seen people just floor it down that highway. Like you got to really, really be, you know, doing slightly better than the speed limit in order to kind of keep yourself out of danger. But it is extremely dangerous on a highway where everybody's expected to be doing a decent speed on the highway. If the speed limit is 40 miles an hour, that means people are probably doing 40 miles an hour or less. How are they going to have time to react if you're doing 100? Relationship Rehab said, how about it should be mandatory that all parents to be CPR certified, and this situation could have been resolved at home and no one would have been in jeopardy or hurt or killed. Wow. Talk about solutions. Shout out to my brother Relationship Rehab, and y'all can get that kind of advice and content from his channel at the Relationship Rehab channel, as well as United Guns of America. That's my brother, and that's why I always appreciate him. Somebody said, my husband hit a deer at 70 miles an hour our first month after we moved here, and it was a doe, and it did a lot of damage to his car. Imagine if it was a larger animal or a buck. Yep. Like I say, maybe some of you guys are not familiar with racing, but I race, what do they call that? Recreationally on the drag strip. And I've watched cars have accidents at less than those speeds. I've watched cars have impact at less speeds, 70, 80 miles an hour, flip, explode, tear the car apart, flip multiple times. I watched a car one time slam into a pole. I don't even think he had got up to maybe about 70 miles an hour. And it damn near split this car in half. You guys hear what I just said? It split the car in half. They were lucky enough that they were able to get this dude out of the car. He was able to just walk away from it. Over 100. I'm sorry, guys. If you hit anything at over 100, anything that you touch is dead. But I think that when we talk about solutions, that's why I love what Relationship Rehab said. If we were able to, and it is not always the case. I'm just saying, when things happen, you got to act quick. I get it. I understand that. But if it were possible to try to act on this little baby while you're at home, because one thing that us parents know, again, like Relationship Rehab and some of you other guys out there, that when you have little kids, they're going to put things in their mouth, and you have to be, as a parent, ready for that kind of thing. Now, let's go ahead and move on. I've talked enough. Let's play a little bit more of the video.
Penny, he tells us by the time he arrived here to the hospital, he had more than a handful of police officers behind him with their sirens on. Tonight, 1-year-old Damani is all smiles.
And she is a beautiful little girl. Look at that smile, man. Look at that smile right there. Brother, I get it. Darius, I get it, bro. I get it. She is a beautiful little girl, man. Beautiful little smile. Beautiful little baby.
Tonight, 1-year-old Damani is all smiles. But earlier today, her parents say she was having the scariest moment of her life when she was choking on a penny.
The first thing in my mind was getting to the hospital.
And that's what Darius Hinkle did. He says officers later told him he was going over 100 miles per hour.
I'm trying to see what kind of car was that. I can't tell what kind of car that is.
The hospital.
And that's...
Can anybody tell what kind of car that is? Not that it's even a big detail. I can't tell. And I just noticed something else. There's moisture on the car. I don't know if it were raining. What do you guys think about that? The moisture conditions. That could have ended up really, really bad, man. Real bad. I mean, to me, that don't look like a race car to me. So that means it takes that car a little bit of time. Somebody said an Impala. That means it takes this car a little bit of time to get up over 100 miles an hour. You got to build up some speed to get that thing over 100.
what Darius Hinkle did. He says officers later told him he was going over 100 miles per hour.
That's my daughter. I wouldn't want nothing to happen to her.
The dad says there were lights and sirens.
100 miles an hour, potentially in the rain. Maybe it wasn't raining that day. I don't know. Because you got to remember, he had to get bonded out. Maybe it wasn't raining that day. Maybe it's just raining the day that they're interviewing. But think about that. What if it was raining?
Behind him for miles.
Somebody said what he did was unsafe, whether it was dry, wet, clear, or crowded. I would have to agree.
Until he finally arrived at the hospital with his daughter and her mother.
They told us to get out, put our hands up, and I got out, I put my hands up, and I yelled, and I told the police, my baby is choking.
And to me, what she said right there was good enough. What I don't like what she said was the extra that comes after that. Because I'm not expecting for her to be rational when your kid is in danger. I get it. But I think that the statement, because this is after the fact, I think what she said right there should have stopped. But listen, she says more.
And I told them multiple times that she was choking. They was just worried about the fact that we were speeding.
Hinkle.
That part. Sometimes, my people, we talk ourselves into these bad spots. But the problem is we don't realize that we're saying way too much. We look really, really bad, and we always put our foot in my mouth. Can anybody tell me what's wrong with that statement? I'm going to back it up again so y'all can hear it again.
My hands up, and I yelled, and I told the police, my baby is choking. And I told them multiple times that she was choking. They was just worried about the fact that we were speeding. She was choking. They was just worried about the fact that we were speeding.
That's the point that I have a problem with.
They was just worried about the fact that we were speeding.
If you, my people, Denisha, Darius, the police should be concerned if you're doing over 100 miles an hour. Should they not? I'm clutching my invisible pearls, by the way. I'm just saying. She said that the police were just worried about them doing over 100 miles an hour when the speed limit is 40 on that road.
The fact that
am I just that dumb? I could be dumb. I could be the dumb one. If I were a box of crayons, I might not be the brightest one in the box. I get it. But I'm just asking, am I the one tripping? Should the police not be worried if you're doing more than 100 miles an hour? Should the police be worried about everybody doing over 100 miles an hour on residential streets? Again, the reason that I point this out is because we cause these situations to happen, or these situations are happening that we are in, and then we blame everybody else around us except for the fact that we don't take responsibility for the things that we do. Relationship Rehab said the police are actually trained to deal with infants choking and could have helped right there on the spot. The police could have helped 20 minutes ago, 20 minutes earlier. Okay, that was another point that I was going to point out. Thank you for calling that out. Now, again, this might have taken two minds, the mother and the father together. Somebody, while they were driving at those speeds, should have called 911 while they were on the way. Because I'm going to tell you guys, if I know that I'm driving that fast and I got a shit ton of police on my back, and if you guys are scared as black people that the police are going to do something to you, in my opinion, you try to get that word out there and say, hey guys, this is what I'm doing. I'm calling 911 right now. So that way, when I stop this car eventually and get out the car, they don't shoot me. 911 call could have taken like a minute or two to at least get the word out there. And they could have said, hey, dispatch, this is what they're doing real quick. Because I want you guys to think about how long that this trip took. It took long enough for them to be driving at 100 miles an hour for multiple police to catch up to them, and it still took them a while to get there. That means that they had time to call 911. That would have saved them from the police of just shooting them if they would have got out the car in a panic. That would have alerted the police as to what was actually going on, and maybe could have helped them by the time they got to the hospital. I want you guys to remember, we're only using this as a cautionary tale in order to help people, anybody that watches this that might end up in a situation like this or know someone that's in a situation like this, and just try to make these things better. There's a lot of things that could have been done better in this situation.
I told them multiple times that she was choking. They was just worried about the fact that we were speeding.
And she belittled it by saying they were just worried about us speeding. We wasn't doing nothing wrong. I mean, we was only going over 100 miles an hour, which is 60 miles plus an hour over what the legally posted speed limit is. I mean, why was they so worried about that? I don't like how the fact that we continue to belittle the laws. We don't vote. We don't vote locally. We don't vote on any laws. We think that our vote doesn't matter. Our voice doesn't count. We won't ask for the laws to be changed, but we'll sit there and complain about them, talk about, well, I don't think that they should have had a problem with what we did by breaking the law. If the police find out that you're breaking the law, in my opinion, my legal opinion, they have the right to apprehend you. Let me see. As a sworn reserve deputy sheriff, it was part of our training to be CPR certified, and infant toddler choking was also included. Okay, very good. Very good. I'm just saying, remember, we're using this to just say if they would have relayed that to the police, then the police could have been notified as to what was actually going on, rather than just think they were just chasing some wild driving car going at 100 plus miles an hour.
Hinkle says multiple police agencies were on scene and says he was arrested and taken to jail. Dancia Pittman says she had just arrived to the jail to try to bond him out when
Somebody was up there and they said, I'm here to bond out Darius Hinkle. And I was looking like I didn't know who it was. And when I looked out the door to see who it was, she spoke and she said, I'm the nurse from Touche Hospital.
And again, I don't have a problem with the nurses doing that. I thought that was a benevolent thing to do. It's just like GoFundMe. I think it's a benevolent thing when white people decide to stand up and say, you know what, black people, we know that you talk bad about us all the time, but we're going to step out there and help you anyway, out of your own situation. I get it. That's why you will never hear me sit there and just downplay white people talking about, well, why don't they do this and they do that? No. They do way more for us in a positive capacity than they do in any type of negative capacity. And I can be willing to say that it's been like that since any of us have been in existence. They do way more for us than they do hindering us. This is another example of them reaching out and saying, we're going to help you out of your own BS. I thought it was a cool thing for them to do. Now, of course, he's probably still going to have to go to court on driving with a suspended license and for driving at those kind of speeds. But you have to be prepared that that's what's going to happen when you decide to just take matters into your own hands in order to save your kid. You do the crime, you do the time, but the good thing is that he was willing to do this in order to save his kid. That's a good thing. That's a real good thing. Real good thing. Let me see. Who said that? CJ Gunn, thank you for the email. I will absolutely check it here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up.
Couple says they are so grateful to.
Somebody said, why don't they? Ooh, good catch. Pinko Kami. Where's the infant car seat? We're just talking about, that's another problem. That's another problem. Maybe it's in there. Maybe we just don't see it. But the camera angles that I saw, I did not see one. They should have a child car seat. If they do, good. If they don't, that could be a whole nother issue on its own, which means that they could have been transporting this child in a dangerous manner anyway. Oh, somebody said if she had a license, why didn't she drive? Have no idea. I don't know. But if he's the man of the house, then he makes the rules. If he say, hey, baby, get in the car, whatever, and I'm driving, I'm getting us there, then I don't mind her deferring to whatever he decides to do if he's the head of the household. So that's a good question, though. That's a very good question.
These nurses for their kindness.
Makes me wonder if she had a thank you, princess. She said, does the mom have a license? I would kind of like to know that. They got a car. Somebody got to have a license. Somebody got to have insurance. Somebody got to have car seats. Somebody got to keep the inspection up. Somebody got to have insurance. Makes you wonder. All I'm saying is that would we have known these things? They do this act, getting this baby there. It's something you got to do. But because this came up in the news, we have to look at this and say, what's wrong with this picture? We have the right to examine this and say, these are all the things that happened that were negative in this story.
I can't thank them enough.
And for saving their daughter.
I couldn't thank them enough. Like, they was there for us ever since we had got there. Like, they was helpful.
I just think that, again, guys, you guys know that I don't read very well. So I don't mind when you guys tell me, hey, Jay, you pronounced this wrong. You need to read better. You know, you're not a professional, blah, blah, blah. I think it's a good thing when I hear constructive criticism because I do need to do better. I work very hard every day that I do these stories to try to read better and speak properly. And with her to say they was there for us ever since we had got there, like, I'm just like, damn, like that's shit. I think we learned how to speak better than that when we were in elementary school, to be honest with you. It's a small pick, but I know it's a larger problem that we have when we speak, informally all the time, every day. In our text. I can't tell you guys how many times I hate reading the comment section and people just write these long run-on sentences, because what that points to is the fact that we speak that way, we write that way, and that's how everything is, and then it ends up not making any kind of sense at all. I mean, there's a reason why we're supposed to have proper English, and it's not just meant for people of a of a peach skin hue, of a peach skin color. English, proper English is meant for everyone to speak. And I think that if she said that they was there for us ever since we had got there, they were there for us since we got there, I guess. I guess that's how you say it. I'm just saying, man. Anyway, look, I got to say this, man. Again, you know, shout out to, I think her name is Denisha Pittman. Shout out to Darius Hinkle. I know he's going to have to figure this thing out in court because, you know, he made this decision to hop in the driver's seat and drive at 100 miles an hour and try to get his daughter there. I'm telling you guys, I saw some videos. I didn't download those videos and I didn't want to show the family videos or nothing. It is so easy to tell that he loves his daughter. He loves his daughter. His daughter loves him. What have we been asking for? We've been asking for nuclear families. This is a start. And there's a car seat right there. So we did see they have a car seat. I just call you Peach? Whatever you want to call it, man. I don't know. You got to tell me what you prefer to be called. You got to tell me. I say brown, chocolate. We call ourselves chocolate. I don't know. But nonetheless, man, I've had fun talking about this story, and I hope that everybody understands, especially the people out there in Chicago, because I know y'all crazy, and I don't want y'all calling talking about in my inbox talking about y'all gonna pull up on me. No need for that, right? But I'm just saying we definitely want to look at these situations and just continue to educate and be positive. It's a positive ending to something that kind of occurred that was negative, that shouldn't have ever got to that point. But again, we've been asking for nuclear families, mother and father in the household, biological mother, biological father. Let's give them credit for that. We can do that. AFC, advocates for children. We can give them credit for being an advocate for a child, being a father being there, a mother being there, two parents that care, two parents that love, two parents that try, two parents that are trying to get their stuff together. So I would only hope that Darius will get his license. If he needs some information, I'll email him some information if he needs to learn how to get a license. Bruh, you're too grown to not have a license. Sorry. Too grown. No excuses for that. Figure it out. You got to do what you got to do. You're a father. You ain't no kid. You know, you ain't under somebody else's household. You are in your own household making a future for your daughter. You have to set the example. To Denisha, like I say, man, make sure that you guys, you know, I don't know, man. Just continue to keep loving each other, man. Work on yourselves. Get better. You know, continue to keep yourselves up. Take care of that baby. Make sure that she is well educated. Make sure that she is well protected, and do everything in your power to make sure that she can become the best version of herself. I think I just stole that from a relationship rehab. It was stuck in my head. Be the best version of herself, right? I hope you don't get mad at me for stealing that from him, but shout out to my bro, man. But for real, they love this kid, and I hope that she becomes just an amazing person in the future, and I hope that she watches this later on and just realize that, you know, life is precious, and we need to take every moment and just try to make the best of it. You know, try to get educated. Make sure we read. Make sure we study. It's so important, man. I wish I hadn't wasted so many years not reading, because it really hurt me whenever I try to read now. I have to read a little bit slower in order to make sure that I can read properly. But nonetheless, you know, shout out to them. Right here. This is a lovely picture. He's sitting there with his baby, learning how to braid her hair, or either he already knows how to braid her hair. That's a beautiful picture, man. And I love that. I love families. So I hope you guys understand that this is a positive story with, you know, with us trying to have some teaching moments. Okay. Thank you to all you guys for listening, man. I appreciate you guys. It is very, very late. I'm about to go put myself to bed because I got to get up and go to work in the morning. Thank you guys so much. This is your boy DJ Just Jay. I'm signing out, man. Thank you guys so much. That's the end of the stream. Peace.